Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jesse, and today I'm bringing you another reading vlog. In my last reading vlog, I read your worst books of 2024, and in today's reading vlog, I'm going to be reading some of your best books of 2024. I went over on the community tab here on YouTube, asked you guys to submit your best books of 2024. I took all of those books, threw them in this bowl, and I will be picking 3 books at random throughout this reading vlog and reading them and sharing my thoughts with you. Let's pick out our first read. I'm already losing sheets of paper. I'm a mess. In we go. This one. This is the book. The first read of the vlog is going to be The Whispering Dark, which is a book that I own, I believe. This was an Illumicrate book at one point, so I think I have it in a shelf in another room. I'll be right back. Not me sneaking away. I do have this book. I have the Illumicrate edition. It is beautiful. It's got these nice sprayed edges. It's also got like artwork on the inside, which is really exciting. I will say, this is not a book that I would normally read because I believe it's got like a paranormal romance element situation going on. I feel like every now and then they work out for me, but I feel like there's been more scenarios where they didn't work out for me. So I'm going into this book a little bit hesitant, I'm going to be honest, but I'm also going in open-minded and I'm hoping for the best. I know a little bit about this book, but I'm also going to go into it not knowing too much. So the description I'm going to give you is very vague. Basically, we're following a girl who goes to this university. At this university, they teach people to slip between parallel universes. And like that concept alone sounds really exciting to me. If it's fleshed out and done well, I will be fully on board with it. But I fear if this book kind of leans too far into the romance side of things, that it will not end up for me. So I'm going into this book somewhat open-minded, but a little bit on the hesitant side of things. I'm excited to dive in and get to reading. I've been like in such a reading mood lately, so I'm excited to hop into this book and get to it. Let's get to reading. Car reading update time. I haven't done a car reading update in a long time. Feels good to be back. Though let's hope that my camera stays focused on my face, because I feel like my camera always has a hard time focusing on my face when I'm in the car. I don't know what it is. Maybe it just likes my car more than it likes me. That's probably the case. Anyway, book reading. Let's talk about those things. I have made decent progress in The Whispering Dark. I'm on chapter 34, page 242. I'm feeling a little bit in the middle. I'm just a little bit caught in the middle. Anybody know that Paramore song? Anybody? We're not here to talk about Paramore. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm trying to find distractions to not talk about this book because I'm not having the best thoughts about it so far. I am intrigued by the story and I'm looking forward to seeing where things go, but I will say I'm having a hard time latching on to anything so far. Like nothing's really grabbed me. Nothing is really like pulling me through this book. There's a few elements that I like. I really like the sort of environment and the atmosphere. Those things are killing it. They're doing the dang thing. But so far I just don't feel all that invested, and I want to feel invested. I want to crave reading this book, and I'm just not there yet. It's interesting because of the fact that like while this is a bit of a fantasy-esque story, paranormal, thriller, I don't know, it's a lot of things. I feel like this book feels like a realistic fiction book because it's sort of honing in on the character interactions and not really delving deep into like the background stuff that's happening necessarily. And like that could change in the second half of this book. I think it could go in that direction. I really hope that it goes in that direction because honestly, I really love like the fantasy elements of it. I love the fact that we have the parallel universes. I love the fact that we have freaking a girl that can talk to the dead. Like what? I needed to explore those things more because those are the things that are really interesting to me and are what I want to see be explored more. But like so far, I feel like it's just kind of like a backdrop, kind of like just kind of like a vibey thing, a vibey layer of this book. Whereas really it's kind of focusing in on the characters and the things that are going on between them and not really these cool backdrop things. Like that's how I feel so far. I would say also it's highlighting a romance element that I have no patience for. So if anybody has some patience lying around that they would like to send my way, I'll take it. I'm hopeful that what I've read so far is just us kind of like climbing up the ladder to reach the diving board, and we're about to like dive deep into the pool of greatness in the second half. Like that's what I'm hoping for. But so far I'm just feeling in the middle. I would say something else is that I feel like this book is having a bit of an identity crisis. Like it doesn't really know what it wants to be. So I would like it to kind of find its footing because it's just kind of dabbling in a lot of different things so far. It has its hand in a lot of different pots, and I just would like it to just combine into one pot and just have its hand on one pot. Depending on how the author lands this ship, it could be a slay or it could be a nay. I'm intrigued to find out where I land with this book. I do really like certain aspects of our main character. We're following Delaney, who is deaf, and she is trying to prove herself, prove what she is capable of, and I do really like that journey. But I think something that I don't like is the way that the author is writing her. There are times when it feels like the author is telling us that that Delaney is a certain way, but her actions speak differently of that. And I think that that contradiction has been a bit of a struggle for me personally. Also, the love interest. I'm not going to say exactly who the love interest is because spoilers, but like, I know it's appealing for some people to have a love interest that's like a jerky turkey kind of guy, but I personally don't vibe all that well with jerks. Unless it's like a full-blown enemies to lover situation where like both parties are being jerks, both parties are being jerky turkeys. That I can let slide, that I can participate in, but like that's also one of my weaknesses. I love when two characters are like so mean to each other and then they're like, actually, I love you. But this is a situation where it's just like the love interest just feels like a big old jerk and I just don't know how I feel about it. I'm just not connecting well to that character. Jerk your way on out of here with that attitude, my dude. I'm just really sad that I'm not loving it as much as I had hoped to love it, but there is a chance that things will turn around in the second half because that's happened to me quite often. I feel like that happened a lot last year with a lot of the books that I read. So we'll see if we have a turnaround in the final bit of this book. I'm getting ready to head to the chiropractor. I mentioned in the last vlog that I was having back pain all of a sudden in between my shoulders, and it's been about a week since that back pain started and it's not gone away. It's kind of like been stronger some days, like it's been really painful some days. I'll wake up with it like throbbing, and then some days I won't feel it at all. I have just decided to let a chiropractor, let a professional take care of this and help me figure it out. So I'm gonna go to the chiropractor right now. I'm leaving way too early. My appointment is at 12 and it's 11:15. I have plenty of time to get there. I am just an anxious person. I like to be early for appointments. So I'm gonna head in that direction and just do a little bit of reading in the car. And then once it gets like 20 minutes before my appointment, then I'll head inside. But I'm gonna head that way right now. It's only like a 5-minute drive, so it's not even that far from my house. But you know what? I just wanna get there early. I'm an early bird to a fault, truthfully. So that's what's going on today. I'm just hoping for a fix with my back. I'm currently in pain, but I'm trying to just have a good attitude. And I know that it's going to get fixed. It's gonna be fine. I need it to be fixed like ASAP. So reading update time. I feel like I don't have too much to add to what I've already said about this book. This one just did not work for me, but I do have some positive things to talk about first. So let's delve into the positivity before we get to the negativity, before we get to the critiques. I will say, I know this is not about the book itself, but I did really love the author's acknowledgements. I feel like that honestly like shifted my perspective a little bit and made me think about things a little bit differently. In the author's acknowledgement, she reveals the fact that this is an Own Voices book, and that just made me shift my perspective on sort of the intent with this book and how and why the author was approaching writing this specific story and the different characters and whatnot. I feel like it just opened my eyes and had me appreciating this book a little bit more. I also really loved the vibes of the environment. If there's one thing this does really well, it's the vibes, the aesthetics, if you will. The aesthetics carried this book. It's got that nice dark academia vibe going for it, and it is just chef's kiss. That was really intense. Now we move on to my critiques. I sort of ended up feeling like this book sort of fell into an all over the place where there's just a lot going on with the plot. Then it's also trying to be so many things and trying to be so many different genres, which could be really appealing to a lot of people. And truthfully, it really does appeal to me. But I feel like personally for me, for all those different genres to work, they all needed to be executed a little bit better. It's fantasy-ish, it's mystery-ish, it's got a paranormal element, it's got romance. It's just a pot full of different ingredients being smushed together. I just needed that last ingredient, that being execution, to come through and slay all the things, but it didn't end up happening in that way. So I think another thing that I needed was a bit of an element of surprise. With this book, you're able to predict a lot of the things that happen, and I don't think that predictability is a bad thing necessarily. I think had I had something else within the book that I really loved and could latch onto and feel like positively about, then I would be able to overlook the predictability, but I felt like I just ended up in a place where I didn't feel like a lot of it was working for me. So I think the predictability on top of everything else really kind of pushed me into a struggle bus place and ended up impacting my thoughts on this book in a negative way. So I ended up landing on a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I'm sorry that I didn't love this book. I wanted to love it so bad, but I gotta be honest, gotta be truthful, and that was just my experience. I started playing the game Spiritfarer yesterday, and tell me why I'm only an hour into the gameplay and I'm already an emotional mess. I'm already on the verge of tears while I'm playing it. Tell me you're more emotional the older that you get without telling me you're more emotional the older that you get. Like, what is wrong with me? I feel like I cry so easily these days, and like the smallest things just make me like cry. Even like things that are happy, I'm like sobbing over happiness. Like, when did that change in me? When did I become an emotional mess? Anyway, I'm really enjoying Spiritfarer. I told myself at the beginning of this year that I would try my best to work through more of the games that I own, because I have a lot of games that I've just bought because they went on sale on Steam. So Spiritfarer is kind of kicking off that journey for me. I honestly see myself kind of prioritizing a lot of the cozy games that I have moving forward, because I'm just like in the mood for some cozy chill games. I will say, even though Spiritfarer is kind of a cozy game, I think the fact that like it makes you such an emotional mess and like breaks your heart, I don't know if that qualifies as a cozy game personally. Let me know if you guys have played it down below in the comments. I'm curious. Update on your grandpa's back over here. It seems to have been fixed, which is fantastic. I know nothing about backs. I know nothing about chiropractic practices. The man looked me in the eyes and said, "You have ribs out of place." And I was like, I trust what you're saying. So when I got in my car after the appointment, I Googled ribs out of place in the back, because I was like, what does that even mean? I didn't even ask the man. I should have asked the man, but I'm shy with new people, so I didn't want to like ask him what that even meant. I was just like, you know what you're doing, just crack my back and let's get going. Okay. But apparently it's pretty common, and there are people that have a syndrome called slipping rib syndrome. I don't think that I have that. Let's pray to the Lord above that I don't have that. The chiropractor said it should be a one-time fix, so I'm hoping that that's the case. But all that matters in this scenario is the fact that my back feels much better. It was sore immediately after the appointment, but then over time it got better. Happy about that. I'm not living in pain over here, which is good. Okay, now that I've rambled, let's go pick out my next read. All right, time to go into the bowl and try not to make a mess. Here we go. I'm gonna choose this one right here, and I'm gonna dump out several sheets of paper while I do it, because that's just how things are going with this. My next read for this vlog is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Ooh! I'm excited about this. Let's make sure that I'm able to get it at my library, because if not, I will actually be a little bit upset about it. Honestly, if my library does not have it, I will potentially go out and buy this book because I want to read this. They have it! Success! That makes me so happy. I'm also apparently going to be following the trend that I have set for me and this specific series. I've been reading this series backwards because I read Just for the Summer at the beginning of the year, and that was my first ever Abby Jimenez book, and it's technically the third in this trilogy series, whatever this is. Yours Truly is the second book, and the first book is part of your world. Mind you, it's not a series that is connected by the storyline necessarily. It's connected by the characters popping up in the different books, so I don't feel like it's bad that I'm reading it backwards. At least so far it's not been bad. Like, I was able to understand everything that happened in Just for the Summer. There might have been a few spoilery things about where certain characters end up or who ends up with who, but I feel like I don't really care all that much about that stuff. In Yours Truly, we're following Brianna, who is a doctor, and she is going through a divorce that's been a little bit heart-wrenching, and then also she's been working to help her brother get a kidney donor. So she has a lot on her plate, she's got a lot going on, and then there's this promotion that has opened up at her job, and she really wants it, but this new doctor has come in, and he is eligible for the position, so she might be competing with him for that position, and she's really upset about it. But then one day, she receives a letter from this other doctor, and it kind of shifts her perspective, makes her feel differently about him. I am so excited for this book. I read Just for the Summer and really loved it, and it made me want to read more books by Abby Jimenez, so again, I'm just going to follow the trend of reading this series backwards. Let's run to the library, pick up this book, and get to reading. Reading update time. I have made it to chapter 24, page 208, and I am rapidly falling in love with Yours Truly. It is checking all of my boxes, and I'm having one of those experiences while reading this book where when I'm not reading it, I am craving reading it. I am desperately wanting to read it. Like right now, talking to you, I'm sorry to say, I would rather be reading this book than talking to you. I love chatting with you guys. I love chatting with you guys. I just am in one of those situations where like I just want to keep reading this book. I don't want to not be reading it. I want it to last forever, but at the same time, I want to figure out what happens in the end. I just don't want it to end at the same time. No, but I'm obsessed. You don't even know. Well, you do know because I'm sharing with you how obsessed I am right now. It's just one of those books that's latching itself onto my heart. I had a similar experience with Just for the Summer. That book definitely like latched itself onto my heart. Mind you, I did not give that book a full 5 out of 5 stars. This book is heading towards a 5 out of 5 star rating. We have such an interesting scenario with our main love interest and their past relationships. I feel like we are uncovering a lot of trauma throughout this book, and I really hope that these characters seek help in some kind of way, get therapy, because I feel like they both need therapy after what they've been through. Brianna's going through a divorce where she didn't feel all that fulfilled in her marriage, a marriage where she never felt prioritized. And then Jacob is coming from this like wild experience, which I can't even begin to fathom, and the way that he's handling it is with such grace, and I would never handle it with as much grace as he's handling it. I would be a monster. But basically, Jacob's ex ended up with his brother, and they're getting married, and we're following that experience. Jacob is in need of like a fake girlfriend because he's kind of found himself in a spot where his whole family believes that he's dating somebody, so Brianna ends up filling that role. So we've got a bit of a fake dating situation, but there's just so many like wholesome interactions between Brianna and Jacob. We have them like starting off their relationship by writing letters back and forth, and like that's how they start to get to know each other, and then it just kind of like snowballs. It's a snowball effect to become something so much bigger, and you can tell that they are becoming such important people in each other's lives. They're relying on each other for different things that they're going through, and I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with the relationship, and they're not even like together yet. Like most of this book has been them like falling for each other and not being able to admit the fact that they're falling for each other, or just assuming that the other person is not interested or they have a boundary up, when that's like not the case at all. So I'm very eager to see where things end up with this, but I'm just obsessed. I'm loving seeing this relationship form. I really love Jacob's character specifically because I find him to be really relatable. He deals with severe anxiety, and that definitely affects every decision that he makes throughout this book. He's the type of person that like needs to be aware of what's coming at him at all times. So if he's going to a party, he needs to be made aware of like who is going to be there exactly so he can prepare himself mentally. He's also just like an incredibly thoughtful and sweet character. He's the type of person that just like pays attention to the people that he's interacting with, and he'll pick up on little details about that person and will make that person feel seen, and I just like love that aspect of his character. I love Brianna as well. I think that she's a really great character as well, and I think that they mesh really well together. They work really well together, which is why they have to end up together in the end. I feel like Brianna's side of things, we're kind of more so seeing the things that she's going through in terms of her divorce, and then also this sort of kidney situation, which also ties her pretty deeply to Jacob. I'm not going to say exactly what is going on in that situation because I feel like it's pretty spoilery, though I'm sure it's probably in the description. I hope it's not in the description because I feel like it gives so much away of the story, but there's a reason as to why she's so tied to Jacob. I do fear what this book is going to do to me because I feel like it could go in a really like heart-stabbing place, a heartbreaking place. Like I feel like it could be a book that just comes in and just disrupts my peace and makes me feeling all the emotions. So I'm low-key hoping that my heart stays protected and that I stay in a positive place with this book, but I feel like this book could break me. I feel like it's getting me really attached to all of the characters. I feel like it's really getting me attached to the relationships that are developing, and I fear it could be a ticking time bomb, and that by the end of this book, something explosive could happen that just has me feeling destroyed. So we'll keep you guys updated on this book. I am somebody that typically likes a realistic ending with books, but I want these characters to have a happy ending. I want them to end up in a positive place because they deserve it. They need to be protected at all costs, and I just need us to end up in a really good place by the end of this book, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated without spoiling, obviously. Tonight, I am having a cozy hobby night with my channel members. I'm super excited about it. Basically all hopping on a Discord call and participating in a cozy hobby of your choice. I was going back and forth. I was going to do like coloring, and then I decided that I think I want to do this sticker book that I got recently. It's a sticker by number, so it's similar to paint by number. So you have all these different sheets that have numbers on them, and then in the back of the book there are stickers that correlate with the different sheets. So I'm super excited about this. I got this recently. I have one actually that's a lot harder than this. That's more similar to an actual paint by number. I guess I can like get it and show it to you. This is what I'm referring to. It's this paint by sticker book, and it's a lot more intense than the one that I just showed you, the one that I'm going to be using tonight. I've only done one sheet in this, and it was not all that cozy. It was actually really stressful. I'm hoping that the one that I do tonight is a lot more chill and a lot more cozy, but this is the one that I've done. I did a little fox moment. I'm super excited to just hang out with my channel members, get cozy, and do some fun little cozy hobbies, because it's one of my goals this year to participate in more hobbies, and specifically the cozy ones, the ones that make me feel chill, relaxed, and all the things, because because the world we're living in is pretty scary. So I just want to participate in things that take my mind off of the scariness, the anxiety-inducing bits of life. So looking forward to that, and also looking forward to reading more of this because, like I said, when I'm not reading it, I am craving reading it. It's one of those addicting reading experiences that I love, and I'm excited to keep on keeping on with this. So I will keep you guys updated. Let's get back to reading. Reading update time. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars! I loved it so much! That's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys later. No, but actually, I'm not gonna stop barking about this book. Like, bark, bark, get ready for me because I'm gonna be obsessing over this book for the next 10 years. It's perfect. It's not necessarily perfect. There is like one thing, like one little thing that just like drove me a little bit bonkers, but I also feel like it made sense to the story. So let me just share my one critique of this book, and that's the miscommunication trope. I'm just not the biggest fan of miscommunication in books, but at the same time, I feel like it made sense in this book, specifically when it comes to Jacob, because Jacob has intense anxiety. So I feel like him not communicating or having a hard time communicating, it's like it makes sense and is very fitting to his character. But it also is one of those situations where I was just like, can you please sit down, and you also sit down right here, and can you two just talk it out? Just like say I love you and move on with your lives. Like that's what I wanted to happen. But I was able to overlook it because I was just like enjoying this book so much. It's a book that's heavy with emotion. There's so many emotional things that go on in this book with Brianna's brother and Jacob's involvement in that. My heart, my feelings, and then there's just so many other complicated things that happen. Obviously, one of the most complicated situations is the fact that Jacob's ex is marrying Jacob's brother. Like, the audacity. There are other things that pop up that make things really complicated, but I just love this book so much. There's a moment in here that I love where like a very prominent trope pops up. I'm not gonna say what it is, obviously. They like make note of the fact that it's happening, that they are like fulfilling this known trope, and I loved that call out. I thought that that was so funny. I feel like it's nice sometimes when authors sort of like use their characters to break the fourth wall and like recognize the fact that they're in a book and they're utilizing a trope. I just thought that that was really funny. I think if you are a lover of Emily Henry, I myself have become an Emily Henry stan through and through. I will read anything that woman writes, even her grocery list. I would like a copy. I will read it gladly. But I can't stress this enough. If you love Emily Henry's books, you will love Abby Jimenez's books. Like, trust me on this. Like, take my word for it. Obviously, I have not read all of Abby's books, but the ones that I've read just for the summer and yours truly both give strong Emily Henry vibes, okay? So just trust. Trust, trust, trust. If you love books where the characters feel incredibly real, there's great banter between the characters, and then not only are the characters fantastic, but you have a really compelling plot, please just read these books. Read these books. Also, if you love like just such a wholesome relationship that develops over time, read it, please, please, please. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm being obnoxious, but I'm just so excited over the fact that I ended up really loving this book. Again, I landed on a 5 out of 5 stars with this book. I'm so glad that I read it. I'm so glad that one of you had it on your best books of 2024 list. It makes me so happy to have loved this book so much. I definitely want to read more books by Abby Jimenez ASAP. Okay, I'm done yapping about it for now, but you've been warned. I will not stop talking about this for years to come. I'm so obsessed. Ooh, I need to share with you guys what I did for Cozy Hobby Night. As I mentioned, I had a Cozy Hobby Night with my channel members. We got on a Discord call and we all did different cozy hobbies. We had someone painting, we had someone writing, we had somebody playing The Sims, we had somebody working on a graphic novel, so we just had lots of things happening. I was working on this Enchanted Garden sticker by number, which ended up not being that cozy of a hobby. Like, I was sweating while I was doing it. I feel like I had a sticker crisis every 10 minutes where I would drop the sticker, where I would put it in the wrong place, even though it's like very clear as to where stickers go. I was just struggling and I had a hard time. It took me 2 hours to do 2 sheets of these, which I feel like It should not have taken me that long, but I was just like so focused. I was sweating, I was chatting, I was yapping. It was a difficult time, but here's what I did. This is the first page, which I think is really pretty. And then I did the second page as well, which this one I didn't love as much because the stickers don't line up all that well. But overall, it was a good time. It just wasn't a cozy time. So I think for the next cozy hobby night, I'll pick something a little bit more cozy, a little bit more calming, because I was like heavy breathing, I was sweating, it was difficult. Let's be real here. I was probably making it more stressful than it was because I'm a little bit on the dramatic side of things, if you haven't picked up on that. But you know what? I am who I am, and that's okay. That's something that should be celebrated. Anyway, let's go pick out the next and final read for this vlog. All right, let's pick out our last read for the video. I'm not sure why I did that because there goes some sheets of paper. I stay being a mess. Let's pick out our next read and we go. I'm hoping that this one is going to be a really good one. Okay, our final read for the video. Let's find out what it's going to be. Whale Fall. I can talk. Whale Fall. I've actually been really wanting to read this book despite the fact that I don't know all that much about it. Let me double check and make sure that my library has it. Come through for me, library, please. They have it, but it's in large print, but I'll take it. It's fine. Let me peruse through the description really quick so I can tell you what it's about. So it sounds like it's going to be a bit of a heavy book. It also feels like it leans into the horror lane, which actually really excites me because I kind of opened up my love for horror last year, horror books specifically. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. Basically, we're following this character named Jay, and he is going on this journey to recover his father's body in the Pacific Ocean after his dad died by suicide. He feels really guilty about his father's death, and he's hoping that this will kind of lead to some healing. I'm very interested to see what the horror elements look like for this book. Going into this book, I feel like potentially the whale will have something to do with it. Something tells me a whale will play a key part in this book. I don't know if it's the cover, I don't know if it's the title itself saying Whale Fall, but I'm very intrigued. If it has anything to do with the ocean though, which obviously it does because he's going on a journey in the ocean freaks me out. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but like there's just so much we don't know that goes on in the ocean, and it just is terrifying to me. Though I'm somebody that's terrified of both the ocean and space. Like both feel like there's just so much unknown about both of them, and it just freaks me out. So can't wait to read a book that involves the ocean. Let's go get this book and get started. Reading update time. I have made it to page 202. They're not really broken up by chapters necessarily. Like it's not chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. We're kind of like jumping around in this book. So I'm on part 2016 in case you're curious. I will admit I had a bit of a hard time kind of finding the flow of this book. We kind of have a bit of a time jump situation. We're kind of jumping between the past, the present, and that just made things a little bit jarring when I first started getting into it. But I think I found the flow now. Something that I really appreciate about this book is the fact that it has really short chapters, so you're just like flying through as you're reading this book. I'm really loving this book, but I am also having a hard time working my way through it because not only is it a bit on the heavy side of things, it's also scary. Like I'm finding myself getting creeped out while reading this book. So at the forefront of the story, we're exploring this very difficult relationship between a father and a son. We have this dad who was, to put it blunt, a hard ass to his son and was kind of the type to show Jay like tough love, and Jay is much more of a soft boy and just like doesn't react well to that. So I think did they not only have conflicting personalities, there are other facets outside of their personalities that make things complicated. We sort of see this like tipping point in the relationship. There's this big blowout between Jay and his dad, and Jay decides that he doesn't have to put up with it anymore, so he leaves home. And then there's this other element that comes into play that makes things even more layered, and that's the fact that his dad has cancer. So we're kind of going back and forth throughout this story. We're going back to the past and seeing Jay and his father's relationship. We're seeing how Jay handled that and navigated that tough relationship. And then we're switching to the present where Jay is going into the ocean and trying to find the remains of his father's body, what's left of his father. Which, let me be clear here, Jay's not just like, oh, I'm gonna go try to find my dad and just like hop randomly in the ocean and just like float around until I find my father's bones. Like that's not what the case is here. Basically, Jay's father had a friend that knew like the precise location as to where his father passed away, and so he's using that as a jumping off point to finding his dad's bones, his remains. I don't know what's considered a spoiler when talking about this book, but I feel like it is one where it's good to not know too much going in, and I feel like I've already given you guys so much information, but I'm at a point that is terrifying. Like all the bits that happen in the ocean to me are so scary. Like the way that the author has written about Jay's journey scuba diving to find the remains, is so eerie, so creepy, so like heart-wrenching. Like as I'm reading it, I'm getting chills at times because it's just so terrifying. But that's also because, again, I find the ocean to be so scary because it's just so unknown. We don't know what's going on down there. But like the obstacles that we're seeing Jay go through are the reasons why I'm scared of the ocean. I think the thing that I'm appreciating the most about the story is just how layered it is. Like we have this complex relationship, and then as Jay is going on this journey to find the bones, he's kind of unraveling all the things that he's been through and just like thinking through things. And there's other parts of that come through that add another layer. And then there's obviously him going down scuba diving and what comes with that. There's just a lot going on here. And I think the thing that I'm finding the most interesting is how this journey of him scuba diving parallels in some ways the relationship that he had with his father. There's so many interesting connections and parallels, and I'm just like loving seeing that element kind of pop through. It's so gut-wrenching and scary, but also beautiful. Like there's just something so beautiful about this story. It's very emotional, very heavy, but also just so like stunning, and I'm loving sort of the unraveling of this experience that Jay has been through. I'm looking forward to seeing where things end up in the story. I definitely want to keep reading today, but I think I'm going to take a bit of a break and do something so wild and crazy. I think it's time. I believe it's time to finally put my book covers back on my books. I'm so excited. Today is the day. Today I'm going to be tackling putting all my covers back on my books. I just feel like it's gloomy and gross outside, and I just want to do something productive, and I feel like that's really productive. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time now, and I just feel like today is the day to do the dang thing. So I'm going to be taking the rest of the day to basically put all the covers back on these books. It's going to take a long time to do it. I'm not going to reorganize my bookshelf today because I feel like that's just going to be too big of an undertaking on top of just putting the covers back on the books. So today I'm just going to take my time to focus on this one task, and then another day soon, hopefully, I will get to doing a bit of a reorganization situation with my bookshelf, and also hopefully kind of pulling off some books that I don't feel like I need to own anymore. So that's the plan today. Gonna spend my time doing that, and then eventually I will get back into Whale Fall later today or tomorrow. Reading update time, I ended up finishing Whale Fall, and this was fantastic. It's definitely a book that's left a strong impression on me. I feel impacted by it. It's an incredibly original story. It doesn't have like super original themes necessarily, but like the way the author explores those themes, that element makes this book so incredibly unique and special, and I just feel like this book does not get enough credit. I feel like I don't hear many people talking about this book, and it's just so freaking good. Thank you to whoever commented this book on the post that I made, because I feel like I needed this book so badly. I needed something original, something unique and impactful, and that's exactly all the boxes this book checked. I think the thing that I am leaving this book feeling the most satisfied by is the fact that the author not only had an original concept, but they took the original concept and executed it really well. Authors, take note, please. I'm just leaving it feeling so satisfied with the way that this book unraveled and how everything came together in the end. I just thought this was a fantastic book, a fantastic story. It was well written, it's eerie, it's creepy, but it also has so much heart and emotion in it, and I can't sing its praises enough. So I am in fact landing on a 5 out of 5 star with this book. I got 2 5 stars in this video, which is super exciting. Now I must rank the books, which is going to be hard because the 2 books that I loved in this video are honestly very different books, and also I don't know which one I love more over the other one. Actually, I think I do. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think I know which one I loved the most. So let's do our ranking. In last place, we've got The Whispering Dark. I did enjoy my time reading this book. It just was not my vibe. In second place, I have Whalefall. I loved this book, obviously, and truthfully, there are 2 first place winners in this video, so this is one of the first place winners, technically. But in first place, I have to go with Yours Truly, because this is one of those books where I was like addicted to it while reading it, and when I was not reading it, I wanted to be reading it, and I feel like that's the ultimate sign of book love, so this is coming in first place. Those are my book rankings. If you guys have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you have not read any of these books, then let me know down below in the comments what you're currently reading. I want to know. And with that, we have wrapped another vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye. Oh.